Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
Today we're going to be talking about chapters 9 and 16 from Xaden's point of view.
Does it say that it took him
2 weeks to figure out that she was doing something dodgy?
That's bizarre.
As the first one, he actually thinks that Violet, she's a warrior. She's not weak. And he was like, okay, that was a good one. But she's still fighting like she was taller and heavier than she actually is.
And Garrick knows that he's jealous. Dane is getting close. He's just doing her corset up. Nothing to worry. Oh, Garrick's voice fades to a whisper as Atos lowers his head and kisses Sorengale. Garrick's just been like, damn, you're all right over there. You're looking a little bit green.
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things fantasy fiction.
Join us as we're going through this special edition. Today we're going to be talking about chapters 9 and 16 from Xaden's point of view.
Yeah?
It's a different one because we finished already with everything. Yes, so now it's trying to see Xaden's point of view with the stuff that we know already, and maybe he can give us some other kind of insights.
Do you know what I like the most?
What?
Garrick. Yeah.
It's funny.
I really like seeing, and also Sorengale. So there's two bits. We get inside Xaden's head.
Yes.
We also get to see his relationship with his friends, and we also get to see his relationship with Sorengale.
I have to say that Rebecca Yarros portrayed really good this kind of relationship between two men being good friends and at the same time tasting each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Sometimes, I often find when an author writes a relationship in
about the opposite sex, they don't catch it properly.
They don't really get it right sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, for me, as a main point of view, I can genuinely believe that Xaden and Garrick had this kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So,
the more I learn about Garrick, the more I love him. He's brilliant.
Yes. So, as usual, you want to start maybe with a little bit recap?
Yeah, but I'm going to do the recap from Violet's POV because then we get taken back to that chapter, how we first read it, and then we'll deep dive into Xaden's brain.
Perfect.
So we're back on the mat, and Violet's look as Poison Master Extraordinaire, which has seen her defeat multiple opponents, is about to run out. Her latest opponent got sick too early and didn't make it to the sparring mat. But no matter, there is a willing volunteer. Xaden Ryerson enters the mat. It's hot, but also helpful. He naturally wipes the floor with her, but gives her just the right amount of tuition and advice to wake her up to the realities of what she needs to do to be a rider. Xaden calls out Dane for giving her too much protection and not enough tuition. Short and sweet.
Yes, now Xaden's POV.
Yeah, and the epigraph, I thought we would go back because there is no epigraphs, or there are no epigraphs in Xaden's POV chapters. But if we go back to chapter 9,
yes,
the epigraph was, "I will not die today."
Yes. So that's really interesting. I really like to go back to those times when she was constantly saying, "No, I'm not gonna die today. I'm not gonna die today."
When I was reading it to prepare for this episode, I had the book open at both chapters, and I just kept flicking back to see the dialogue. It was really cool.
Yes. So should we start straight away?
Yeah.
So one of the things that caught my attention about this is they start basically in the mat when they start to sparring, and Xaden, he knows that she's been doing something against the rivals before the mat. So he said that it took him 2 weeks to figure out what she was doing, that she was basically poisoning all the people that she's going to spare.
Does it say that it took him
2 weeks to figure out that she was doing something dodgy?
That's bizarre. You should have figured it out quicker than that.
That's what I thought. That I was like, 2 weeks. That's quite a long time for he to see that something was off.
Yeah,
But
especially.
I think it's how often the sparring happens, because I think maybe it's like every week when they happen.
No,
Or
I know. I think the listeners who have read Iron Flame
yes,
would expect Xaden to figure it out quicker than that.
So
So
it's gonna
that's
be
weird.
another dislocation. Read Iron Flame, then come back.
Yeah. We need t-shirts that say
Yes,
come back
that's
when
gonna
you've
be-
read Iron Flame.
Yes, but that is something that, like I say, straight away caught my attention, because I was expecting that he will find out early, maybe with the first 2 matches, that it was suspicious. I don't know if it was cancelled or she just win because the other one didn't manage, or in the middle
Yeah,
of the
but
match.
he should
off.
know. He should know by now, and that is a weird thing.
Yes.
So he doesn't. Anyway, what I thought was good, and the opening bit, is that she is... So when I was reading both chapters at the same time,
Yes.
she's scared, but he thinks she's pissed off.
Yes.
So there's a misinterpretation of she is scared,
Yes.
and he said that she looks more pissed than scared.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
Yeah,
He-
maybe she's trying to camouflage she's thinking now he has the perfect opportunity to kill her.
Yeah.
And that time it was the thing that she was saying every single day. He's going to kill me, he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he thought that it was something really impressive. That obviously by this point we start to see that he realized how sharp her mind is. That's something that he always likes about her. But he knows as well that that is not the right way. Even when Violet, when she was in the first week, she was trying to just bend a little bit the rules, so she managed to survive everything. But he knows that in a real fight, she's not going to have the option to poison the rival.
trying to help her.
Yes. So he started to see that she's going to be in problems if she doesn't start to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So he started to, kind of like, I think it's more like playing with her. I think at this point he is thinking that she's so smart, but he figured out already what she's doing. So he just playing a little bit with her. And from the beginning, he noticed that the weapon that she's using is not suitable for her body type. And he's thinking about it. So it's not like he's pretending or telling to anyone. No, he's thinking about himself. Those weapons doesn't help.
And you know later that he gets her son.
Yes. So he is the first, I would say, is the first one that he actually thinks that Violet, she's a warrior. She's not weak. So even when he said that, a lot of people is talking about her bones, her joints, but he actually thinks that she had like a core steel.
Yeah, and there's a really good... I know that we're not there yet, but there's a really good quote later when Dane steps in front of her.
Yes.
And he says he steps in front of her like she actually needs protecting, but that's in chapter 16.
Yes.
It's just that it's the same thought, isn't it? That she he wouldn't step in front of her because he knows she can defend herself.
Yes, exactly. I think maybe it's that he can actually see her as she is. But he's basically playing games with her. Even Sagel is complaining about it, that
This is
he shouldn't do it.
reckless.
Yes. But he's just having fun, basically. But the more he is having fun, the more he is spending time with her, he starts to notice, or start to see that something is changing on him, because he starts to see her in a different way. And then is when he starts to realize that she is actually dangerous, because she somehow managed to distract him or make him lose control. So I think from from this point is when he actually start to realize there's something about her that he can't explain what it is, but he just can't help himself. And what else I heard about this? I think, yes, he tells us again, then he started to just help her because she needs to learn how things works there. She started to realize that she is actually naive. When he tried to give her the hand, and then he just put her against the floor and exactly saying that you're so naive, that you have so much to learn about this place. But she learns quick. That's something that he realized, that she's a quick learner. And then when he was focusing in the face and the way that she was talking, when she was surprised, when she was younger, and when she was thinking already what's the next thing to do. So he realized that she thinks really quick about a situation when she's under pressure.
Yeah, he says the speed at which she processes information and compartmentalizes her feelings is such an advantage, and I doubt she even knows it. And I think that links to when she feels pain, she locks it away in her brain, and I think that's also why she's so immediately good at shielding and grounding, because she can compartmentalize her feelings already. So I wonder if her parents have taught her that as a child.
Yes.
And they were setting her up to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's an interesting point of view. I mean, if you're in this kind of family that has such a rank, at least the mother, you can't expect that much love from her or the affection. So you can't maybe complain, you can't whine about it. So the best thing that you can do is just hide how you feel and then just put kind of like a mask.
Yeah, it could be that. I kind of thought that it would be the other way, that General Sorrengail had kind of semi-taught her how to do it.
Yeah.
I have good vibes about Lilith Sorrengail, though.
Yeah.
So I think she's playing a part, and I've said that before. So, yeah, I feel like she might have taught Violet how to do that.
Yeah. I haven't read Iron Flame, so I don't know if there's more information about Lily Sorrengail, because I would be interested to know how she was before she lost Brennan and her husband. I want to know if maybe she was kind of like a lovely mother, somebody that was having fun, or from the beginning, before she was a general, before everything happened, she was always strict, and she was always this kind of like really cold character.
Yeah, I do feel like we'll get some backstory.
Yes,
of both mommy and daddy.
That's the thing that I really want to know, if she is how she is now because the circumstances, or just because it's her personality.
Yeah.
Regardless if Brennan and Daddy Sorrengail will be alive. But yeah, going back to the sparring session, then Xaden realized that she's a quick learner, and at some point she managed to knock him down.
Yeah, she kicks him in the back of the knees.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good trick to trip somebody up.
Yes, and more when it's somebody that's maybe bigger than you.
Yeah.
Legs is always a weak point if you know how to hit.
Yeah.
And she does exactly that. And even Xaden is surprised.
And I was thinking about this. This is really random. But you know how special services and stuff, they jump in front of a president or a diplomat or somebody who might be getting shot at.
Yeah.
Why because you'd have to put yourself at risk of death to do that. Why don't they just stand behind the diplomat and kick them in the back of the knees? And then they would drop down and the bullet would miss.
Yeah, I mean, that's an option.
Then you don't have to put... Well, you are still then. You'd have to drop at the same time. Sorry, that's totally random. I don't know where that came from.
No, but there's a scene in this movie, Speed, with Keanu Reeves, when there's a terrorist that has a hostage and is put it with a gun. And Keanu Reeves is trying to get the terrorist. And the idea that he has is shoot the hostage in the legs. So the hostage falls on the floor. And the terrorist is like surprised, like, what just happened here?
boom.
And then it's...
Anyway,
Yeah.
just we
Random
digress.
stuff. But yes, so she was really good doing that movement, but she was jumping right on top of him, and he was like, okay, that was a good one, but she's still fighting like she was taller and heavier than she actually is.
Yeah.
So that didn't work. So she need to learn how she is and what kind of the fighting style she needs according to her body type. So even he said that, like, you're tiny, like, why you still fighting like that when you're not that strong to beat up? I mean, there's double of your size. And I think it was really good. Yes, but that has to end. The Natos has to say that, okay, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
I think that it was shitting himself because he was maybe thinking as well that he was going to kill her.
Yeah, so there's a good thing at the beginning. There's a point at the beginning of this where he shuts his shields down because Atos is nearby.
Yes.
So he's constantly doing that. And I thought, that made me think when I read that, why is Xaden not worried that Dane will see the memory of the meeting under the tree? So he's not teaching Violet how to shield. And then I thought, hang on a minute. Last episode we were just talking about how did Dane's dad know that they were basically forming another rebellion in bracket, in what do you call them, inverted commas.
Yes.
If he only knew the word Athbine.
Yeah.
He didn't, did he? Dane had
Common
stolen that
information.
memory under the tree already.
Yeah.
And maybe that was obvious and I just missed it until this point.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody is saying, oh my god, that's so obvious. But that's why. So he slams his shields down, but Violet doesn't have any. She does have shields at this.
And he's constantly
not
touching
have-
her face. Like,
Yeah, I can't remember what happened.
From that, yeah.
Oh, she's not even bonded.
No, because this is before threshing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this just made me realise that obviously Dane's dad did know more.
Mm-hmm.
And Dane has been stealing more memories.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but from that match, I think there's something that changed and say that, and he noticed, Sagel noticed, and friends noticed as well, because once he goes to Imogen to get the weapons, Imogen is definitely like, what the fuck was that? What the hell is that? And he doesn't even reply to her because probably he's like, he doesn't have answer for that. He just go to tell to Dane that a little bit less protection, a little bit more of instructions. And Garrick as well. He started teasing him.
I love this bit. You in the mood to spar with first years? Garrick asks, or just that particular first year?
Yeah.
Sometimes I hate how fucking observant you are, is what Xaden says in response to that.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the observant you are is a link potentially to Garrick's signet.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What could it be that you'd want to be stuck on a desert island? I think that he's good at finding things, but I don't know. Maybe he's just good at deducing things. He's like a detective. Maybe he's got like a Sherlock Holmes style signet where he can read people. A bit like...
I mean, he's good finding things, but maybe just, yeah, like you said, maybe it's like the methodology or the signet helping to figure out quick what he wants to know or what he has in front, like get details that nobody else will have. So it's Sherlock Holmes Wilder.
Yeah. Sherlock signet.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Powerless, but...
Powerless,
Lauren
okay.
Roberts.
No idea about that one.
No, you need to read that. I think it's good.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. So, Garrick says,
Yes.
oh, would you please, he said, or I can't remember what he says, but Xaden's like, okay, we'll fight or something, but they don't. He said, oh, would you please, I need you to use those big strong hands to show. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting, they say we're mutually assured destruction against each other, which makes us the perfect sparring partners.
Yeah.
So Garrick's obviously really good on the mat.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things there where it was Violet when she was sparring with Rhea, and then they were watching Xaden and Gary fighting or sparring. They were like taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they had a really good relationship, but at the same time, they had the same character. They just want to tease each other and destroy each other. But I think it's just because they know the other one can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few times that Xaden makes comments about Violet in this chapter. He even calls her violence in his head, which is interesting. That comes back to the quote from last
how
episode.
People can make a name and thing that make them feel uncomfortable.
It's funny how people rename things that make them feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Also, a nod to that in this chapter where it says that doesn't sit right with him. Nothing about this girl sits right with him. So he knows there's something. She's making him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he talks a lot about her hazel eyes.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a complicated one because it's hazel and then change to amber and then change to blue. It's like constantly changing.
Hazel eyes are like that though, aren't they? Hazel eyes are very rare, I think.
Yeah, I guess maybe it all depends on the light that it reflects, so it might look different.
Yeah, a bit like my eyes, they change colour, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes it's like grey, sometimes green, sometimes kind of blue. So depending on the light.
Like mood rings.
Yeah.
They change colour when I'm angry. Go like venom.
Yeah, red.
Red eyes.
Yeah, it's more like with the children.
Yeah. He also likens her to a cat, which I thought was a bit strange.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it weird how there's something so normal as a cat wandering around this crazy world of Navarre?
Yeah, and it's even like the reference as well. It's like really common thing to say even nowadays. So
Yeah. He talks a lot about her hair again. Obviously, there's something going on there with the Xaden and the hair.
Yes.
And he also says she smells like, and then it gets cut off. And I wonder what does Violet smell like?
Has to be something that he really loved because he was like, don't fucking think about how she smells or don't go there.
We know that he loves chocolate cake. Do you think he smells like chocolate cake? I think like all these riders fighting in leather, they must absolutely stink. She smells like BO and smells like sweat and
because
leather.
Leather is not really good for make the air goes out.
No,
so
exactly.
Everything is inside cooking with everything.
Oh, great.
So yeah. I mean, it looks really good, but no.
Yeah.
To make a sport with leather, no. Wrong choice.
I like when he says, don't trust a single person who faces you on this mat, but he whispers it in her ear. And then he says, careful to keep my mouth off her. Mm-hmm. And then he says, but when have I ever
being concerned
about putting my mouth on an opponent? So we know that he's feeling something.
Yeah.
And I like the comparison that he makes for Violet and Sigale about they're both as merciless. They're just as merciless with their tongue as each other. But he can't remember the last time he had so much fun, and that's really nice. And then there's also there's a bit of I feel sorry for Xaden in this chapter because he says, I can't remember the last time I had this much fun. He has the weight of the world on his shoulders, leading this. It's not a rebellion, is it? The revolution.
He's supporting the people who needs help.
And he's taken on responsibility for all the marked ones. Mm-hmm. That comes with the pressure the other way around, doesn't it? Because they'll all be killed if he's found to be a traitor. So he is not a traitor, but you know what? He's a traitor, isn't he? To Navarre.
Yeah.
so he's got the stress of that. And some marked ones might not even want to fight. And he's taken them down with him, basically.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's got a lot of pressure. So I feel sorry for him that way. And then he also says, I'm used to being loathed. Like, she says, I hate you or something like that. And
yeah, that doesn't make you special.
I'm used to being loathed.
Yeah.
And that's just really sad. Because he's a good person. He's doing the right thing. But he has to put on this facade of shadows and... yeah.
Yes.
And Sigale is kind of saying at this point, because she doesn't know that Turner's going to bond with her at this point.
No,
and
but
she's saying she's just a distraction you can't afford.
I think maybe this could be better told with Turner later on, because she starts to see that this Violet start to get it really into Xaden, because she can feel what Xaden is feeling. So Sigale knows that he's feeling a lot of stuff for her. And maybe that's when she started to talk with Turner about this Violet. And that's one of the things when Turner said that I know who you are, or it's not that the first time that I know about you.
What you are, Violet Sorrengail. Yeah, but that's not why. No, sorry.
No, I mean, there's like one of the things that Turner gets the information.
Yeah, but Sigale doesn't like it. So Sigale's saying the silver-haired girl is a distraction you can't afford. Sigale wouldn't concern herself with the opinions of sheep or humans. Say that later, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think so. Xaden falling for Violet is not going to make Sigale convinced Turn, because especially if she thinks...
No, but I'm not saying that was like the reason for Turn to bond him. I generally think that was Turn's choice. Not even Sigale was conscious about it. But I think that Sigale was just talking about Violet, so I don't know if Turn get more information from somebody else about her.
Yeah, maybe Sigale was moaning about her.
Yeah, so
he thought, oh well, if she can upset Sigale that much, she can rile them. She must have something about her. The other thing I like about this chapter is we get the first view of what Xaden uses as his grounding place. Did you notice that?
Well, yeah, he says is everything like his favorite place.
His mental hillside of Tyrrendor. So he's on a mountain in Tyrrendor, which is weird, because how does he stop the flow? What do his shields consist of? Because Violet's is easy. She's in a room. She locks the door.
Yes. So
how does he shut out if he's on a hillside?
Because he had nothing around. He's on the top of everything, or I don't know if he can make kind of like walls.
Yeah, maybe he builds... he does say to her, doesn't he, when he's teaching her how to do it, he said, build a wall if you have to. Yeah, so maybe he builds a wall.
Yeah, I think there's some mention about it when...
just before they kiss.
Yeah, when after threshing, that he said that, okay, so now it's official, Ten has been bound to Violet, so he said that he started to lower down, I don't know if I can say like the walls of the shield or something, and then he started to say that, I can see two new things, so you can see Turn, and you can see a silver light or something.
Yeah.
And that's Violet.
This made me think that, you know how we want to know what Garrick's signet is? We want to know what... I've got loads of people that
Violet second
you haven't met yet. Yeah, Violet second signet, but not about Violet. But isn't it interesting as well to think about where they ground themselves? So you could have, like Liam, for example, obviously totally loved his mother. It could be he grounded himself in his childhood bedroom or something.
Yeah. Where
his mother was there, or something like that. And it's nice to think about, where does Imogen ground? Where does Dane ground?
Ree.
In his ivory tower, probably. Yeah, Ree. That's the thing. Where do they feel the most at home? And it's something else nice that you might one day learn about these characters.
Yeah.
And I think Violet just has the perfect place, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Anyway, he talks about Brennan in this chapter. So you do get the feeling that he knows Brennan.
He knew from the beginning.
Yeah, so he says, I've known better poison masters, and then he instantly thinks of Brennan. And then later in the book, he says, I told you I knew better potion masters.
Yes.
But he said Brennan would give one of his frustrated sighs if he knew just how obvious his little sister was. Then again, he'd also try to kick my ass for the position I have violence in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can tell that they know each other.
Yes.
Although, you know how I feel about Brennan.
Yeah.
And I don't think Xaden really does know him.
But I think they know each other from the end of the apostasy, when he was officially dead.
Yeah.
So I think they've been in contact, and they've been...
Well, he knows who he thinks Brennan is.
Yeah.
Just Brennan's an imposter, isn't he?
Yes. Well, that's something we need to find out.
I think so. And then it says, a bitter taste fills my mouth. She has no clue he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's guilt that he's feeling. And he kind of says that. Well, later, again, I keep getting chapters 9 and 16 mixed up.
Yes.
But I think that's guilt. The bitter taste fills his mouth. He wants to tell her. We wouldn't tell her, but he...
Well, I think he knows that she should know about it.
Yeah.
Because Brennan obviously is a big part of her life. So the fact that he knows that and he can't do anything, then make him feel guilty about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Chapter 16.
Go for chapter 16. Okay, so as a recap,
Mm-hmm.
if you remember, do you remember? Violet bonded 2 dragons, and
Yeah.
all hell is breaking loose. There's general shouting left, right, and centre that it can't be allowed to have 2 dragons to 1 rider. Violet is getting her ankle strapped by Professor Quiori,
Oh, yes. Professor Cowdy.
the
Best.
makeshift nurse, makeshift healer. And Jack finds out that Tern is Violet's dragon. He is pissed. Tern tells Violet to stay with the wing leader while the Empyrean, the Dragon Council, debates whether the choice can stand. There has never been a case of 2 dragons choosing 1 rider before. Damp Dane strikes again, trying to convince Violet she needs to sack off Tern and choose Andana, because he's a total wet blanket and wants her to be stuck behind a desk for her whole career. She tells Damp Dane what happened at Threshing, and he accuses Xaden of interfering. Violet learns that Tern and Segale are a bonded pair, and the death of any one of them will set off a chain reaction that would end in the death of each other. The dragons come back, and all is as it should be. Tern and Andana's choices stand. Violet steps forward, and she becomes marked by her dragon's magic, a beautiful relic of a giant black dragon with a smaller golden one in the centre. Dane kisses Violet, and it's all she's ever wanted, but shit, she doesn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, apparently, Xaden is freaking out over in the corner, and he can't control his shadows, and they do a little poof. Sorry, I spat on you, man.
Yeah, you can't control yourself talking about something neither.
He's spitting my signet.
Yes. Spit wilder.
That would be gross. Everyone would be like, ew, go away from that.
Another way
It
to
might be
win a
quite
war.
useful.
If there's a fire, I know who to call. Oh, gosh. Okay. So, anything else that you want to add, or should we just
No,
start?
let's go. I didn't even write down the epigraph here because I thought it wasn't that important, but it was just something about dragons. It was an extract from Kaori's book of dragons, not his secret book of secret things about dragons that he just left lying around.
Yes.
It was his other book, his published work. Anyway.
So, first thing that I want to talk about it is when we see this scene. Then is saying that you don't realize what he have done. He's interfering, the threshing, all that stuff. So Xaden used a mental shield before talking to Dane, and that was the first thing that come to my mind. Like, can you actually like block Dane's signal if I use this kind of tricks?
Yeah.
So if he wants to read your memories, you're being interrogated, and then he just touching your face and you're just shielded, he actually can.
I think he can't do it. But this is suspicious to me that So if Dane took even one move towards Xaden's face, Dane would have no arm left. Xaden would snap his arm right off. So this to me makes me think that Xaden also knows that Dane does not need to touch your face to read your memories.
Yes, I mean, I remember when Xaden was asking to Violet, did he touch your face? And when I told you about this place when I went and this kind of stuff. And she said, well, yeah, but I will notice if he did. And he was like, no, you won't.
Trust me, you won't notice.
So how he didn't know?
Yeah, but that's...
Like, the picture of Dane touching Xaden's face is like, no.
Yeah, but just wait.
Okay.
So he says something weird, and full disclosure, I spoiled something for you, didn't I? In my manic attempts to recreate Xaden's family tree the other day, I accidentally let slip that Xaden's dad was not a rider. He was infantry, because normally noble...
Yeah, they're not riders.
Yeah, the noble line are infantry. Isn't it weird here that he says Atos panicking like the infantry soldier he should have been? It's not a bit... Like, Xaden's throwing a bit of shade on the infantry when his dad was infantry, and... he just really doesn't like Dane, does he?
Yeah, I guess maybe Xaden's dad is because he doesn't have a choice, maybe. Just because when you have a title, that's your only option.
Yeah.
You might want to be a rider, but you're not allowed. But...
And they've just scored, the leadership have just scored the biggest own goal by conscripting all the marked ones into the rider squadron, making them more powerful.
Yeah.
Because that's why they don't want and again, I'm spoiling it even more, but that's why they don't want the nobility to be riders, because they're scared they'll get too much power and then they'll take over.
Yes.
Anyway, this is where Sigil, or he says Sigil would say, dragons are not concerned with the opinions of sheep or most humans, which I mentioned before. And Dane is nothing but an irritant. Have some self-control. Sigil lectures, like her affection for the little golden dragon isn't what put us in this fucking situation.
Yes. So it was kind of funny see how Sigil and Xaden interact when Xaden is having this agreement with Dane, and how Sigil is constantly just saying something. And the thing that I find it like weird is when Xaden asked to Dane, what would you do for Violet? Would you bend the rules? And then Sigil was like, oh, that is cruel even for you.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But
like,
she's laughing. Yeah, she's laughing.
Yeah, I found it weird, but at the same time, like, okay. I don't know if she's kind of like...
Well, she knows he doesn't like Dane. She knows that he feels some jealousy, because she feels all his emotions as well. So she knows, like, she's got... Yeah.
She's awesome as well, to be honest. I really like her.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
He calls her my girl at one point, doesn't he? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I think so. But I thought he was just like laughing or...
He says, ruthless and vicious as my girl is, she draws the line at the cold unless we're flying for erasure.
Yeah.
Because he says, if she doesn't... Basically, he says I'm going to volunteer for every cold weather mission if you don't show up.
Yes. That was funny too.
And she says, what you should... When he does the thing with Dane, and he says something like... what you should be asking is whether Sigil saw it too. And she says, don't bring me into this nonsense. So he 100%, that's when you find out he moved, because he moved. He didn't move because Sigil had called Tet, and he moved because he wanted to save Violet.
Yes, and then there was funny thing when she said that if Tet were landed, you will do exactly what he is accusing you that you did. And then he went, well, I move on. Oh, please don't
Don't
embarrass
embarrass.
yourself.
Let's not embarrass each other.
Yeah, that was really funny. But going back to that, when Xaden was talking about all the stuff that he saw, what actually happened, the Violet, it was trying to defend Andarna from these three cadets that were bigger than her. And Violet was like, yeah, and I will do it again. And
Well,
he
the
was
fuck
like,
aware.
yes, so I think you start to see that he's losing control. He knows it, and he doesn't like it. And then when Dane says like, "Oh shit," like he started to realize what the current situation. That it wasn't Xaden the one involved in everything, was all because Tern. And then is Xaden the one who said Violet Sorangel is the last person that I want to be bound with. And I think he actually mean it, because I think he really likes her. He started to feel a lot of stuff for her, and he feel that he's losing control when he's next to her. So I think maybe he's kind of like scared that she now has to go through a lot of stuff. He needs to be focused. He needs to be sharp.
Yeah, and he says Violet Sorangel's my downfall. Violence is my downfall. And that is like
again
really foreboding, isn't it?
Yeah.
That means that one of them's
Yes. So it's like constantly saying that.
Yeah. I like that he says, in 1 second on that field, my attitude changed from maybe I'll kill her, maybe I won't, to protect her at all costs. And he says that in 1 second on that field. As soon as Tern got there, he left. He didn't know that they bonded. Obviously, he would just presume. It wasn't that. It wasn't the bonding with his dragon's mate that made him say protect her at all costs. It was her actions that she took. So I think reading into that line even more, it because you could read it and you could think, oh, he's got to protect her at all costs now because they're linked. But he felt that before he knew that they'd bonded.
Yeah.
So I think that's the point there, the clue that he's falling first.
Yeah, and something that he left clear when he asked the question today about if he will ban the rules for his little Violet. He said, "There's no power here that I won't do something for Gary Body or Liam. That I will do anything for them." And he was showing as well when he was stepping in before Tern land that he don't give a shit about the rules or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was about to defend her. He wasn't let her die. And I think from that moment he was feeling a lot of stuff for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. One thing that hit me in this is when he said at some point she's going to have to realise that this quadrant changed her friend into someone she doesn't actually know.
Yes.
And he's trying to show her because he doesn't like Dane. No, there's two reasons in there. They've bonded. So the formal reason for the revolution is that he's bonded her. He needs them to break their friendship because he can't have Dane around sniffing around her memories. But also, I think he's just jealous and he wants to get rid of him. He doesn't want her to feel. He doesn't want her to fancy Dane anymore. And it's like just childish school romance, isn't it? But it's not, because it's deeper than that. But
I mean, it could be that too, because when Dane kisses Violet, he says, like, he's kissing my Violet.
Yeah, my violence.
Yes.
And another thing that I thought was odd was that for some reason, I don't know how I got this in my head, because Sigale's quite young, isn't she? She's only 50.
Yeah.
But Sigale, I just assumed that she was the leader of her den. Don't know why I assumed that. But she's not, obviously, because she wasn't part of the Empyrean discussion. She was given sass to Xaden at that point. So
Yeah.
I was totally wrong about that.
Yeah, so no clue what is the. Well, I know that in the beginning they mentioned there's another blue dragons, but they're in other places. They're not in Basque yet.
Yeah. We get
Well.
another bond with a blue dragon in the second. In the Iron Flame.
Okay. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. New character that we really like. We like them. Right, Garrick. Can we talk about Garrick? Garrick heads my way. Any news he has of last night's mission has to wait.
Yes.
So they did a mission before threshing, and it's possibly because everyone was distracted.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone else will be in the threshing, so it will be perfect just to sneak in and stole some weapons or deliver it. Because they're doing both, you know. You go to one place, steal and then. Which the other thing that I don't know how it works is the communication there, because they live hours apart. How they communicate, or it's just between dragons and griffins. They can communicate from that long distance.
No, I doubt it.
Yeah, so how they do it? Like, okay, we had the weapons.
I don't think they communicate in their heads, do they? I think they communicate with like noises. I don't think their minds speak to each other. Maybe they mind speak to each other. I didn't know that.
Well, when they were in this battle and reason, turned and said, "Yeah, I told them already something." And oh, can you talk to Griffin? Yeah. How do you think that we're talking before humans? So I'm just assuming that the same way they do between dragons, they do like mentally.
Mind speak.
Yeah, they do as well with Griffins. Yeah.
Right, let's get back to Garrick, because he's my favourite. So he starts this conversation. So you and the General's daughter, and then he says something like, "I'm fine." And Garrick says, "I've seen corpses more fine than you." And then Xaden replies with, "Of course corpses are fine. They have nothing to worry about." I just love the chat that they've got. And Garrick knows that he's jealous, even at the thought of moving Liam in, because everybody likes Liam. And then Garrick says, "Don't worry, I'm sure he won't." And then he says nothing to, "Oh shit." Oh, he says something like, Dane is getting close. He's just doing her corset up. Nothing to worry. Oh shit. Garrick's voice fades to a whisper as Atos lowers his head and kisses Sorengale. Right. This is what I was alluding to earlier when I said Xaden's freaking out in the corner. Fire rushes through my veins and shadows spasm around me, distorting my vision for a second. Dane fucking Atos has his mouth on my violence, and then Garrick's just been like, "Damn, you're right over there." And then he says, "Oh, you're looking a little bit green," and he's laughing at him. But Xaden pins his feet to the field with shadows. So he's so raging at this point that he's physically got to restrain himself with shadows. He's got to put like bootstraps over his little rider boots to stop him from going over there and tearing Atos limb from limb. Right, so we've got another application for shadow wielding.
Yeah.
Just like pinning your feet to the floor.
Yeah, kind of like a seatbelt, but on the floor as well.
Yeah, oh, it's funny. And then I like how it ends, because he says, Garrick says, "In 20 years, I don't think I've ever seen you jealous before. This is amazing." But I don't know why he's saying this is amazing. I think he's just saying this is amazing because he's
laughing at Xaden.
He knows that he can continue to have fun with Xaden. But don't you think Garrick would be a little bit worried, especially as we know how Garrick responded when Xaden said he was taking Violet to Erasure? He was saying, "Are you sure you'll put everything at risk?" And not once has Garrick kind of said, "Her mum killed our parents." And he's not. You'd think that Garrick.
Yeah, but Garrick was the first one and to say that we don't blame.
The kids for the parents' actions. That's not the terrorist. Yeah, that's a good point. And also, he was really defensive of her when she got up to the top of the turret.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrick's just such a great person. And and then Xaden says Soaring Girl looks like she's just accidentally kissed her cousin. And that's kind of exactly how she felt. It's like a brother.
Yeah.
And the only other things I wanted to kind of mention was General Melgren. Obviously, he blames Melgren for everything. And that's where Dane is saying he should be blaming Lilith. But actually, it's Melgren he blames. And he says, my skin crawls, fucking murderer.
Yes.
And then he talks about... He kind of checks in, doesn't he? And you mentioned this before, where he sees a glimmering strand of silver, which is it's the only colour she could have been because of her hair, the fact that 10 calls her silver one.
Yeah.
She's got a golden dragon for now. Anyway. Yeah, that's all I had. Did you have anything else?
No, that's pretty much what I have as well. So,
okay.
2 short chapters, but nearly an hour.
I know, we can talk, can't we? We know how to talk. So, thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy. Switch round.
Yeah.
Can you not do it?
No, but I thought we were going to talk about something else, but...
No.
That's it?
No, we'll just start with that. But you do the thank you then. But I thought you might be able to say the husband and wife.
No, I was more surprised about that.
Yeah, but we start the join us next time.
Okay, so finish then.
Yeah.
Okay. My part then?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast, talking all things Fourth Wing at the moment. But we are now finished with Fourth Wing. So join us next time, where we will talk about how we will do Iron Flame. We'll get your initial thoughts, what you're looking forward to, and...
Well, yeah, we started all the season with a pilot episode, Fourth Wing, so we need to start as well with a pilot episode.
Yeah.
Or Iron Flame.
So join us next time for the pilot episode of Iron Flame.
Yes.
If you're not following us on social media, then you can find us at Faithfully Fantasy Pod on all your favourite social media apps.
Also, you can follow us on our website, faithfullyfantasy.com, where we have all the episodes. You have as well all the places where you can listen to the podcast. We build them more stuff.
Yeah, and get to know us a little bit more. That's a bit about us.
Yes.
If you could rate us on your favourite podcast apps, that would really help us reach more people. And we're really glad that you've made it to the end of this bonus episode on Xaden's POV. See you next time.